Well, hello. I have the wonderful MaryElizabeth who is here today with us, and she's bringing along her entourage of we. And I'm so excited to have you here again. We haven't talked in a while.
I know, not in quite a while, actually, probably months.
I know. You've been doing the psychic events, and you've been doing other work as well, and you're also doing an open channel communication as well in Agora Hills, right?
Yes, I am. And this Saturday, the 26th, I will be at the Newmont Center in Agora Hills. It'll be a 4th psychic panel. It's an in-person event, but can also be via Zoom. Just go to newmontcenter.net for info, or text me at 661-524-4544, and I'd be happy to give you the info.
That's exciting. You're right here around the corner. Too bad I have plans already, otherwise I would have driven over there. You're so close. You're never this close unless we're working together.
I know. We live a little far apart, but that's okay. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, well, Sunday. We're seeing you on Sunday.
Yay!
All right. So I'm excited because times have definitely shifted quite a bit. Energies are, I've said this many times, and it's probably going to be the ongoing topic forever and ever and ever, how the energies are just continue to just get stronger. And as we continue as a collective to wake up, as we continue to start questioning our surroundings, our reality, what is truth, what is your truth, and all those things. And it's nice to see that. It's also kind of very scary because for some people, it's way out of their comfort zone. They don't know how to approach it. And a couple of other things too. It's like the people around you, they may not be ready for that as well. So I'm going to let you get into that. What do you think? What's your vibe? What does we have to say about, what's going on with the collective?
Well, what is happening with the collective is this is a predetermined time in your history for you all to come together, uplift, and step fully into who you were created to be. But there needs to be a number of you that are ahead of the game. Do you understand what we mean? That are taking that first leap, that first step of faith. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is when you are in that space of stepping into the consciousness of all things, being able to let go of the judgment others bring. Because as Emmy will tell you, many will say, well, you're just crazy. That is true from their perspective, but not in truth in the reality of all things. And as you walk through this phase in humanity, it is pre-planned for what is coming to your society. It is pre-planned because you need to have the anchor points of light, you see, to counterbalance the disruption you currently see. Does that make sense? And in this time, it's an amazing thing because the shift that is happening, many of you are very much aware that your thoughts have almost led you to points of despair because you are in reflection, you are in a space of remembering things that were previously buried within your memory, and they are springing forth for a reason. And the reason, you see, is so that you can release that negative energy, because when you are unaware, it hinders you, and you have no idea what is hindering you. Do you understand what we mean? And so when it comes up unexpectedly, be grateful. That's what we'll tell you to start from there. Be grateful that we are here to help work your way through so that you can step into the next level of your truth. You are all living your truth to the best of your capabilities. But we are here to push you to the fullness of that energy. Does that make sense?
Yes. And there's a couple of points that you've hit is that we did sign up, all of us, whether we know it or not, we signed up to be back on this planet at this point in time. That think some of the things that I've kind of get intuitively as well is we are now, it's us coming to this point in time because we wanted to, because we knew this ascension, this process, whatever we're going through, it's going to happen. But now with the new children that are coming in as the crystal babies and the rainbow babies, as they are labeled, who come in a little bit more knowing than us, and then their children's children will be more knowing than us, will take us to the next level. So many things, even if the person is not aware that this is happening to them, it is. And just like you said, they may not be aware, and the thoughts are hindering. It's learning how to deal with your thoughts and learning how to transmute those thoughts that would get you moving along into this process that we're going through. And you're right. Some people are meant to just be a little bit more of a guide, which
Yes.
is why some of us have been, pointed out. That's why we're coming out even more so. That's why there's more events. There's more talks on YouTube and other channels as far as, taking this message across, because this is where we're going, and we're just preparing everybody else for what's inevitable, essentially.
You are all here. One of the things you started with, my dear, was that you have all come in with the agreement. If you can all look at one very important thing, when you speak of yourself, do you not use the words I am? I am enlightening. I am lifting.
Mm-hmm.
I am sad. I am happy. Well, your I am is your God presence. You are each God experiencing life just as you individualized were created to experience. That is the agreement, so to speak, the element that allows you to shift in and out of that space of consciousness is your free will choice of, in this moment, who will I be? It's not about what you will wear tomorrow. It's not about which job you will take. Instead, it's more about, where do I feel I am standing in my truth and integrity? Where am I allowing my kindness to lead? Where am I leaning into my faith versus the manipulation? And the greatest manipulation we see in this earthly plane is the manipulation of self. Do you understand what we mean? Self-judgment is your biggest detriment. You all have been taught from a very young time to measure. You're graded in school. You're told you're right or you're wrong. There is no you just are in this society. This society very much has a measure, and then it has a measure of compare. And here's what we will promise each and every human being. If you compare yourself to another, you will never, ever measure up. Do you understand what we mean? You will never, ever, ever measure up. So when you think of compare, think of despair. Compare
That's a
leads
good
to
one.
despair. No matter what you do, compare leads to despair. Because you may look at one who is in a lesser circumstance than you from your perspective and think, oh, I am better than. And then some other circumstance that you feel is better than yours will immediately show in your proximity, and it'll take you back to that space of despair. What we ask for each and every one of you to do to identify when you are walking in your truth is to pay attention to how you are feeling in your physicality and your emotional barometer, you see. There's always a conversation between ME and your mutual friend, Wanda, you see, and the conversation is, how do I identify when I am not in alignment? That is how you identify. When you are not feeling good in the moment, when you are angry, when you are sad, when you feel your body tense, you're out of alignment, you're out of flow. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I want to kind of go back again to the whole concept of I am, because what is I am? Let's define that. Is it I am short, I am extroverted, introverted. That's not what it means. It comes out into the sense of Christ consciousness when he was acting as apostles. Who am I? And reflection to them, who are you? And we are all there is. We are all it at this present moment. And who are we meant to be? We are just meant to be here at this present moment. That's who I am. I am just a state of flow. I am a source. I am all that is, right?
I am all
And
that
it's a very
is.
hard concept.
That is the statement. That is the statement right there. If you look at, Emmy has a favorite scripture, and it's simply, be still and know I am God. Many read that scripture and think that God has said, be still in the knowledge that I am God. I am outside of them. The statement should read, be still and know, comma, quote, I am God. Because each and every one of you are God experiencing life as you. God is not an individualized concept. God is the fullness of all things, all creation, all human beings, all rocks, all bodies of water, all animals. That is all God experiencing. So when you can go into the I am energy, pay attention how you are using it, because it is how you create your reality. So when you are identifying yourself as something specific, I am short. Does that make you feel good, or does that make you feel bad or indifferent? Emmy is, I am short. To her, it's not a bad thing. It just, I am compared to another. But there's also pain in that statement. Do you understand what we mean? To her, she doesn't feel the weight of it anymore. But for a long time, she was picked on for being the shortest in her family. Do you understand? So it carries a wound. So you want to be aware of how you are using the descriptives of self. Our descriptives for you are simply one statement. I am God. And you can then take that to, we apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
You can then take that to the level of I am amazing. I am miraculous. I am the creator. I am momentum. I am anything that is positive in front of you. Do you understand? But the moment you start putting it into the comparison, you take your energy level to despair. And unfortunately for all of you, your energy directs the universe, not your words. Not your words.
There's a lot of things that you said right there. So for us geeks and little nerds that like science and stuff, so we're all fractals. So if you imagine the movie The Matrix and you see all those binary codes of ones and the zeros, right? Think of every single one, every single zero as part of something that exists, the water that you were mentioning, the mountains, the insects, the person next to you, your dog, anything, everything here. And all of those fractals work together to create this illusion, this reality, right? So if we go in knowing that, then it becomes a little bit easier to understand how we create the reality, right? And there's a lot of controversial comments or as far as like, do you really create your reality, or like what is there, the simulation in the matrix, whatever. At the end of the day, you can test this out. And that's the cool thing about it. You can test it out yourself to see it for yourself and experience it. Everything should be through gnosis, which gnosis is experience. Learn through gnosis, Gnostic teachings. Experience is your best teacher. So if you have a doubt, try it out and do that. And, the one thing about words too, words carry vibration. And it goes back to short, right? Using that word that when MaryElizabeth was being bullied because she was the shortest one in the family, right? That carries a lower vibration, a lower frequency. And that also is part of this, huge picture.
Exactly.
It's all a dance. It's all synchronized. It's all choreography. It's like underwater swimming where you're doing all those choreography dances.
Yes,
That's really
synchronized.
what this is. Yes, exactly. So it's trying to, and it's so hard because we've been programmed, like you said, for so many years to be always at worst case scenario, always have plan A, B, or C, always be on the defensive, versus always be reactive versus proactive, right? So this is
Right.
a huge shift that we're going into as a group. We're learning how to be more proactive versus reactive. We are learning that maybe there is a little bit more than just what I know. Maybe those Star Wars movies actually are saying something that, it could hold some truth to it. And we're all starting to question that, which is a really cool thing. And for me, it's a very exciting moment in life to be on this journey to understand everything that's happening. So I'm going to ask Lee.
Can we just address one thing before you ask, my dear?
Sure.
Because this is very important. You started with that you need to learn from your experiencing. But here's the key. Do not assume your experience will repeat. It's just giving you knowledge. Because many people go, well, I won't try again because I failed. Do you understand? So again, the perspective you choose when you are reviewing the experience. Sometimes an experience will continue throughout your life as a means of teaching on a point that you're unwilling to see. Do you understand that? And then in that energy, you are then creating it exponentially where it's spilling over into other areas in a manner that you do not want to see. Does that make sense? So, as we always say, your ego, or as Emmy calls that voice, Fred, is basing their self-protective nature for you on your past experience, which is why you hear, are you sure you want to do that? Maybe you should do something different because it's based on that past experiencing. If you can leave the past behind and just say, that had a lesson for me, now I'm open to see what the lesson was. Do you understand that? Instead of, well, maybe if I do this differently, or maybe if I do that differently, just ask the universe to unfold the answers for you. Because we are all about making your lives easy. You have a very hard time accepting that as human beings. Do you understand what we mean? We're always telling ME, stop trying to figure it out and let it unfold. Because as you said with the synchronized swimming, pay attention to the synchronicities you see. That is the key of the direction you're meant to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm going to attribute to what you just said to karma. I believe karma in the Hindu religion means action. So if you keep on seeing the same lesson over and over and over again, more than likely you're repeating the same lessons over and over and over again from previous past times or lifetimes, and you still haven't learned it. So take the opportunity. If you see the same stuff in different forms, that's your lesson in life. And you probably need to look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, I get it. What is it that I need to learn and change within so I can get over that challenge and then move on to something else, something new.
Exactly. So, and the thing about perspective here, we want to point this out. The other day there was Emmy, Wanda, and Wanda's sister, and they were having a conversation, and one said something, then Emmy heard something different, and Wanda heard something different. So they all kind of got this tweaked look on their face and started responding to what they thought they heard. And it wasn't at all what was said. So it became a hysterical moment, but it was an absolute illustration that just because you believe it to be true doesn't mean it is. Do you understand that? So then you have to ask, sometimes you ask someone outside of you, what is your opinion? What do you think of this situation? What am I missing? And then listen with an open heart is what we'll say. Because the majority of people you're going to ask want to help you. Do you understand what we mean? They're not coming from a place of shooting you down, because you wouldn't feel safe enough to ask. Do you understand? So allow that perspective, and the parts that resonate as true, take, and the rest, you don't have to prove why they're not right in that track, but something they say does resonate. Do you understand what we mean? And then again, ask the universe to give you clarity. The universe is your tool. You ask, they will respond. But you have to ask from the correct frequency. Go ahead.
Well, no, what I was going to say is when you ask and you accept that assistance from your higher self, from the universe, you're actually, it's a scaffold. So as we evolve, the higher realms evolve as well. And all this feeds into the higher learning, and it's never ending.
Exactly.
So we have different dimensions, different realms. You know, we have whatever they know, like 11, 12 dimensions,
and
13,
beyond.
14, 15, and beyond, right? Well, no, we can conceptualize. And I just visited the 17th dimension, but that's a different story. But we help, as we evolve, we help them evolve. And we continue, and then when they evolve, they can, the dimensions above them evolve as well. So we're all in this together in more ways than one.
Yes.
And all of this to say is that every synchronicity counts. Exactly. Every lesson counts, from the smallest to the most minute, to the things that you don't even, that you just kind of like rub off your shoulder. You know, it all counts, and it just, I wish I could say more and more about this. And what I wanted to ask you, was, what is the one thing that people right now are really struggling with that they need to hear?
That they have the right to be themselves. That is what people are struggling with. Do you understand that? That is why people are struggling to step into what it is. What is my purpose? Your purpose will unfold for you when you accept the person that you see in the mirror. When you can look at yourself and see that you are intentional here. Because so many times, we hear, as Emmy sits with people, that, well, you know, there's something wrong with me, or why do I keep repeating? Why can't I have? Why aren't I deserving? You are deserving simply because you're here. You're created intentionally to have a positive impact on humanity. And the majority of you don't realize that. Do you understand that? You've heard us say it before, and we will say it again here. Life truly is all about me and how I positively affect the we, the total, the whole of humanity, the whole of the earthly plane, the whole of the universe, you see. You are not small in this space, but you are more than worthy. You are more than enough, just as you are in this exact moment in time. Maybe you want to look differently. Maybe you want to do differently. Maybe you want to be like someone else. But they're not you and you're not them. And what you have to offer, and you need to hear this, all of you, what you have to offer, no one else can bring to this space of humanity, because they are not you. So if you have something to do and you say, well, somebody else has already done that, not like you. You are uniquely here to share. Think about it. One of the things that we are hearing often is the message is the same. If you listen to whoever's speaking, the message is the same. Do you understand that? What you are saying and what we are saying is the same thing. It's just being said in a different manner. You are each here to be a messenger for the person that needs to hear it the way you present it. Do you understand that? Because the way you say it and the way ME says it are totally unique. The way you do and the way she does is totally unique. You can do the exact same thing, but it'll be totally different experience for each person in the room. Do you understand that? Because of your energy, because of your knowledge, because of all that makes you you. Your beauty, your humor, your sensibility, your connections to others' energy. Do you understand that? Some need to be in a room and feel completely connected to the person in front of them. Others need that person to be separate than them. Do you understand what we mean?
Mhm.
So it's just a different leveling, but you are all here intentionally to do you and nothing else. Do you understand that? Nothing else. When you do you, you can captivate a room. When you do you, you can achieve more than you can possibly conceive. But when you get in that space of comparison and measure and judgment, that will stop you from your forward momentum. And that is the only area you need to release. So each and every day, wake up and say, I let go of all that hinders me. Universe, guide me. And then follow, as you say, the synchronicities along the way.
I love what you just said, because we don't hear it enough, is no matter where you are in life, whether you consider yourself to be poor, struggling, maybe more challenges than others, maybe you had a really, really rough, experience. Every person here was born for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person. And like you said, it's unique to that person. You have that unique experience, whether you perceive it as terrible or positive. It's chosen. It was predetermined. You chose to come in for that purpose. So if you may not know what your whole purpose is just yet, know that you had the purpose of being born and living at this moment right now. That is your current purpose right now. And then once you start getting into your own groove and your own acceptance or whatever, then everything else will kind of unfold and you'll get more clarity. But I don't think people are told enough that, hey, you're here. We understand that you're going through some situations right now. However, your purpose is to be here. Your purpose is to be talking to me right now. Yeah. We may not know why, but we have that purpose. Your best friend, they're a purpose in your life because they're a part of you. They're a fractal. So what does that fractal have to do with you? That's a cool thing to figure out. Why are we friends? Like, why do we jive so well? Or why do we trigger each other so well? What is this lesson to be learned? And every person, even the people that have hurt you or have helped you, that's the purpose right there. And
it's all intentional. It's all intentional. Every single person that comes in your path is intentional. Every single person that leaves, no matter how painful that may be, whether it's through death or their choice to just walk away, it's intentional. Many times people say, why does my family no longer talk to me? Because you couldn't grow into the fullness of who you were born to be if you stayed under their measure. Do you understand what we mean? You mentioned friendships. Why are we friends? What feeds us? At this moment in time, you're friends because you resonate within each other's energy field as the same. You are mirroring each other's energy and you're supporting each other as you move through. But sometimes, just sometimes, you can have a lifelong friend that suddenly disappears because you had a faster shift in your frequency than they did. And if you stayed with them, you would never be able to step fully into the acceptance of that part of you. Do you understand what we mean? And they would hinder you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it brings me to that saying that rejection is God's protection.
Exactly.
I think that's how it goes.
Exactly.
And And that's really something that I finally clicked, whether, you know, you believe in God and a higher source, universe, divine, Allah, whatever. At the end of the day, that rejection was, again, purposeful, right?
Yes,
Everything
exactly.
is a purpose.
Everything is purposeful. Here's a story that Emmy just had this weekend with a client who sat in front of her, and we're going to share. We're not going to give you the total specifics, but she was saying that she listens to that intuitive voice often. And she said in 2017, she was in the service in Afghanistan, and they were getting ready to leave, and she was packing up a first aid kit, and in it was a tourniquet, and she heard loud and clear, "Keep that tourniquet. You're going to need it, my dear." And she thought, well, that's strange, but okay, because she believed that voice. So she kept the tourniquet. When she left, she took that first aid kit with her and carried it. And then every time she moved, she'd run across it and go to throw it out, because what does she need it for? And then she'd hear, "No, you need that tourniquet. Don't throw it away." 2 years later, she went to move again. "No, don't throw it away. You need the tourniquet." So at this point, she's 6 years in. At this year, just a month ago, she found the medical kit, opened it up, saw the tourniquet, and she said, "Well, I haven't used it yet." And they said, "You need that. Don't throw it away." The very next day, she heard all this commotion outside the house, and then heard someone say, "Please don't move. I have to stop the bleeding." So she ran to her garage, got the tourniquet, went around the corner. Her neighbor had been shot, and they needed the tourniquet to stop the bleeding to save his life. 7 years prior, she was told to keep the tourniquet. You're going to need it. So if you can't understand how that story shows that everything is predetermined, and the only choice you have, am I going to live in my faith? And that is faith in me, because who are you? You are God, the divine. I am. Or are you going to choose manipulation and be led by the opinions and thoughts and judgments of self and others? That is pure manipulation, which is just a fear energy. Trust your own knowing. Believe your own truth, even if you're not clear what the next step will be. The universe will lead you. Just step, step, step. And sometimes, just sometimes, you'll be asked to leap.
There's so many cool things in there. So the concept about predetermined, that's a wonderful story, because you're right. You never know. You never know. But one thing, we're always shifting timelines within seconds. We're just always, you know, time doesn't exist. We know this. We're mediums. We know that, you know, time doesn't exist. And if you want to put it into perspective, you know, the present, you know, we're thinking of the future, but the future is now the present, and it's now the past, like all simultaneously, right?
Right.
So when you think you're thinking something, it was already predetermined, because that was the
It's
future,
already
but you're
here.
saying it, now it's already past. It's already done.
It's already here. It's already here. As we always say to Emmy, well, you promised. And we said, but it's already here. You just haven't allowed it to materialize into your present moment. But in our perspective, you're already in it. You've already lived it.
And we get stuck on that 7-year thing, right? Yeah. Because we want it now. But we're already having it now. And if we don't have it now, what you want is because it's not ready for you just yet, for you to accept it.
But to accept that you already have it, that is the key. Yes. And that's hard to do, which we get. If it's not in front of you, you are very much tactile, visual people. So if you cannot see it, you have to allow yourself to feel it. You have to feel that love you want in your life. You have to feel the arms of that person around you. You don't need to know what they're going to look like, but you do have to know what they're going to feel like, because you know what feels good to you. Does that make sense?
That goes in line with Neville Goddard's teachings and a whole bunch of other gurus out there that talk about the feeling of it. If you're able to have blind faith in whatever, a God or whatever, you have to have blind faith that you have what you want already. It's already there.
Yes.
It's all about the feeling right there.
That's what faith is. Have faith in me. I've already created it. As Wanda will say, I've already put in my order. I'm just waiting for the waiter to bring it to me. So that's one way to look at it. And he just goes, no, I don't. She has no patience for that. She wants it yesterday. But instead, when you can allow yourself to see it's already here, it doesn't matter what circumstance is bringing through. There's many in your society that worry about financial means. Well, when you worry about financial means, and you worry about it in a very strange way that many of you are not even aware. You're thinking, but I'm not focusing on my own money. But suddenly you're focusing on what other people are spending. Do you understand what we mean? Like, oh, but you just spent $500 on that. Do you need it? It's the same energy of lack. Instead of celebrating the joy that they get to have what it is they wanted to have. Do you understand what we mean? So that's where you have to be in the awareness of your own energy and the emotions that you are allowing yourself to follow. Does that make sense?
It does. And I know this question is going to come up. I actually just hear it in my head. Then how do psychics know the future? And this all comes down to, and this is how I perceive it. This is my interpretation of how I do things. So we pick up on the energy that has the highest potential based on the person, because everything is based on an infinite amount of potentialities out there. And it's based on your current energy, what has the biggest potential outcome, knowing that it could change at any time. So for instance, if I find out that I'm going to meet somebody, next month, but that somebody is not going to be like, serious or whatever, I can choose to change the outcome of that and say, no, I'd rather not spend my time with that, with a person that's not going to be serious or whatever, and then just like shift. Or the other potential will be, maybe I need to experience this because I need to experience it to move forward. So you have the free will at the end of the day, right? So you can choose your path and you have the free will.
We're going to correct you on this point, and you're going to disagree, and that's okay too, my dear. But you need to experience it. If it's been brought in your view that it's going to happen, it's being told to you for a reason, because you need to experience, because it's going to open a part of you to a greater acceptance of what it is you truly want to see. You think you're already there, but sometimes it takes experiencing one more experience of one who isn't a match for you in that frequency, that will allow you to then accept one who is. Do you understand what we mean? So if it's being brought into your view and then it shows up, just say yes. Do you understand that? When in that regard, but your interpretation of free will, yes, you can say no, but you've already been told to say yes.
Yeah, I know, but you could be stubborn.
The psychics are your messenger. They're giving you a message.
Yeah.
You understand that? Yes, there's some out there who say they are psychic, but they're feeding the fear versus just stating a fact. Do you understand what we mean? And if you're dealing with one who does that, we then go trust your own discernment. Don't buy into the fear. But free will literally is one choice, despite what you've all been told over thousands of years of your existence. Free will is, in this moment, am I going to stand in my truth and integrity, or am I going to allow manipulation to lead? Or as I will say, am I choosing faith or am I choosing fear? When you say no to something that's been put in your path, that it was coming here, follow it. You understand what we mean? Follow it. A psychic, all psychic means is you're getting it from outside of you. You're getting it from outside
Agreed.
of your own knowledge. You're getting it from their energy field or from a channeled energy. Do you understand what we mean? As we always say to ME, you're not here to be a psychic. You're here to be the messenger for we. You're here to allow us to speak. And you, my dear, have a myriad of energies that want you to be their mouthpiece. You understand what we mean? Allow that to be two. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Allow that to
I'm trying.
I know you're that, yeah. But again, all we want to say is in that regard, in that energy, psychics, what do psychics do? They're getting an energy read, so to speak. That's why they call it readings. They're interpreting the energy unless they are channeling or embodying the energy of what is coming through. And then that is a pure channel to the person in front of them. Does that make sense? Like we are.
I think I lost you. One sec. There we go. I can hear you now.
That is the pure channel. We are the higher self consciousness speaking to you. Others will say we are God. And we do believe in God, my dear, because we are God. So we are bringing that energy through because that is you. That is you. We are your higher self. Your higher self is God. And allowing yourself to understand that when you connect into that energy, the knowledge you see is only hindered when you start judging, when you start trying to figure it out. As you know, we say it to you and me often, stop trying to figure it out and allow the unfolding to be, because we will unfold it beautifully. And if you get out of our way, we can do it quickly. Do you understand that? And you will see some in this society who seem to just step into gold, step into gold, step into gold. Everything seems to work out with these because they are more attuned to just saying yes to what the universe brings. Does that make sense? And that includes what you may consider catastrophe. Do you understand? Because there's lessons in all things. And without the polarity, without the light and the dark, without the what you judge to be good and bad, we don't judge, you see. We literally see it just is. But there are points of duality energetically. You all need that for balance to be. So in all that life brings, find the gratitude in the moment. When you are facing grief, find the gratitude in the fact that you love someone that much to grieve their loss. Do you understand what we mean? Find the gratitude in their ascension into their next phase of living. Find the gratitude in the fact that they're still here with you. You understand? So when you can understand that it is all predetermined, but as ME has her understanding of what we have said is she sees a pinball machine. Do you know the pinball machines where you pull and the balls go bing, 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 bing? Well, based on that free will choice, the universe is constantly pinging those balls to align to the outcome that is needed to be to maintain humanity. Does that make sense?
And I think that takes us to a different segue. It's related, but another segue of this, because we talked about, catastrophes. And one would say, if that's the case, why are we allowing, these wars to happen? It's getting uglier, just everything just seems really bad right now. And it's, from my channeled messages, what I've been getting is that, again, it's predetermined. It is our turn to come out on the other side, to come together. But without death, there can't be a rebirth. right? So we have to find, like you were saying, the gratitude, and even in its ugliness, because we're the only ones that put things as good or bad based on how we perceive it and feel it and the emotions. And that's our job as humans. We are here for the purpose of feeling, of being in this turmoil.
Of feeling, but not measuring. That's where you've gotten lost.
Right.
But
exactly,
you should
which is
feel.
because they're good or bad.
Right. So when you should feel, if it doesn't feel aligned in your energy, instead of saying it feels bad, to say it feels out of alignment with who I'm supposed to be. How can I shift my energy to find my inner peace no matter what is happening around me?
That's exactly right. And that's really hard when you're stuck on the TV and you're seeing all of that they're showing you. Yes. I mean, it's a purpose for that, but it's a different story.
Yes.
But it's learning, like in the Buddhist ways, the detachment of it. So then one would say, well, if you're detached from everything that's happening, then you must feel indifferent, or you must not have a soul. And that has nothing to do with that. It's, again, being in alignment with who you are, because how you are within yourself is going to reflect your outside. And that's a pretty big concept for others to understand. And I get it. It's like a projector.
Yes, but it's also, if you think about it, if you allow yourself the detachment to be the observer in a situation, instead of diving full into the horrific nature and the judgment of that, but you allow yourself to observe and can stand in your peace and still be kind and still be helpful where help is needed and still protect where protection is needed, without buying into the overwhelming negative force of it, you can then help uplift others too who are stuck in that space of despair. Do you understand that? Because all it takes sometimes, and you will have seen it in the areas that were horribly devastated by the flooding and the loss of life and all these things, those who came out to assist and care were not in judgment and trying to create or to multiply the drama by blaming outside elements, by creating more despair. They were coming through with, how can I help? What do you need? Even if it's just a hug, you see. And those are the people who were directly affected. When they tell their stories, those are the stories they tell more often than not. How the strangers came to help, how the community came together and gave what little they had. Do you understand? That is when you can stay the detached observer of life and not get caught into the drama that is created in the emotional climate, and stay in that space of your own peace. You can shift others to that level too. And then thus you change the frequency. And here's the thing with the weather and the number of earthquakes and all this increasing, part of it is cyclic. The earth is cyclic in what it does, but part of it is also the earth responding to the unbalanced nature in your energy. And people say, well, how come God allows storms to happen? God allows war to happen. One, people allow war to happen. War is a manipulation. It is not a truth. That loving community that comes together, that is the truth of humanity. War is the manipulation that feeds on the fear, that needs to assert power, that needs to be in control. That's a manipulation. That's a human reaction. The earth responding to that level of energy, which is in part what is happening, in part, because the earth has to balance too. Do you understand? Just as you all have a role in the universal balance, so does each planet, as it is here. So the planet has to try to balance the energy too. Does that make sense?
Well, it's alive, it's consciousness. So
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. So in that space, in that time, as you're moving forward, the key, and that's why we always say, go back to that space. Am I in line with who I truly am? And who you truly am is the creator of your world, is the common denominator that is all of you. You are different than every other human being on this earth, just as they are different than every other human being on this earth. Your greatest commonality is your difference. So instead of using that as a weapon, utilize that to bring you together. Because in catastrophe, and you've seen it time and time again, the people who come from a point of loving energy do not look at the color of the skin. Do not look whether they are rich or poor. Do not look to see if they are man or woman. They take care of the person in front of them in need. And the first person to take care of is you, so that you can do that beautifully for others too.
So let me ask Lee.
Yes.
We talked about community building, about how that's our truth. What about the individuals out there that do not want to participate in that truth? For those that are not ready, I'm not going to say not willing, but just not ready to be in that giving part, that helpful part of life at this point. So, and the reason why I'm asking is because we're all going to have those experiences. We're all going to be engaged with our coworker or an acquaintance or family member who you're just like, oh my God, like, don't you just get it? You know, what should the person do? How can they work with it?
Okay, if there is, here's the thing. You can't change another. You cannot change another. You can only change how you react to their current circumstance, their current presence in their own ability to connect. Human beings are here to connect. You are not here to be solitary, but as a means of self-protection, because they've previously been hurt, they've previously been abused, they've previously been abandoned, people will disconnect from others. It's a form of self-protection. When you can understand that is true, you can come at them from a point of loving energy. But here's the interesting aspect. We spoke of polarity. You need to have, for balance to be, those who are completely detached and those who are fully engaged. Two different points of polarity. Do you understand that? Those who are very angry and those who are fully forgiving. Again, two different points of polarity. All needs to exist for balance to be. From our perspective, they're not broken, and neither are those like you. No one is broken here. You all serve a purpose in this time. Will you ever come to a point in time, and that is truly what will decide the fate of humanity? Will you allow yourself to lean more into the fullness of who you are without that judgment? Dropping judgment is key to uplifting all of humanity. Because if you do not judge that person who is separate, if you do not identify and label their anger as they're angry, they want to hurt. A lot of times they just don't want to connect because they're afraid. But once you plant the seed grows. Do you understand that? And then they hurt. But you need both. One of the things Emmy has encountered, she's encountered a conversation with Jeffrey Dahmer. And in that conversation, the people in the room were horrified that he was present in his energy. And then he spoke and he said, but I was the opposite point of energy on this planet that was needed. I was created to be who I became to be.
Mm.
And when we can understand that applies to every single human being, no matter who they are, it applies equally to Hitler as it does to Gandhi. Do you understand what we're saying here? Created for that energy balancing to be. The difference is if the rest of humanity leans too far into the fear energy, you pull away from center point. Do you understand what we mean? We always say this is center point. This is the fullness of all things. To the left is faith. When you lean into faith, you can always be pulled back to center. But when you go to the right, you lean into fear. And when you lean into fear, you can only fall further and further there. Do you understand that? That's why it's harder to come back to center. And if you think of a pendulum swing right now, you're extreme in your fear. Watch your TV, watch your media, watch your news stories, watch your politicians, watch your campaigns. What are you all doing? You're feeding the fear. You don't have many news stations that tell you the good things. Do you understand? Because people
It's very true.
are drawn to the drama.
It's an addiction. It's actual an addiction. Drama,
Yes.
the chaos, adrenaline.
Yes.
That's all an addiction. And it's
Yes.
not just like, drugs or sex or whatever. This is,
Yeah.
we get a high off of it. We get
Yes.
the dopamine
Yes.
from other people's chaos.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well,
So it's
it's
the point of understanding that you are all here intentionally. And sometimes that's hard to see. Like Emmy has one that she really doesn't like in your political realm of energy, but we said, please see them as a necessity because the world needs to understand what was hidden previously. Because there was a time that things are now commonplace would never have been allowed to be because it was politically incorrect or rude. Now your society doesn't care so much, you see. There used to be a time when news media outlets would immediately issue a retraction and apologize for a misinformation given. Now they don't say a thing. They just let it fall beside. You understand what we mean? It's just a shifting in your culture and what it is you're choosing to allow to be. Will it shift again? That is why we are here.
I think another hard pill to swallow is that even those people, again, it goes back to the fractals, they were all part of each other because we were all created from the same substance, the same molecules, whatever you want to call it. And really, even those who are like the Jeffrey Dahmers or whatever, they're still part of them. We are all connected. We are oneness.
We are all that oneness.
Day.
You are all God. God, if you think of God as one, you are all part of that one. You are all the oneness. But literally, if you think of it this way, because you're more scientific in your mind, in your way you process the energy than RME, think of it as each of you are a clone of God in a different experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, we are. We are. That is perfectly said. We are clones.
Yes.
We're already clones before we were clones.
Yes.
Before they made it the trend.
Yes.
Absolutely. We just have different features, different bodies or
but you're all your core energy is all that of divine. So you are just an expression of God. Think of it this way, God with the new Halloween costume, because we're almost there. Do you understand what we mean? It's just a different costume. Or as Wanda calls it, the meat suit. It's just a different meat suit,
the meat
right?
suit.
Yes.
I just heard that too. I forgot where I was trying to remember, like, well, meat suits, meat something. Yeah, meat suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a different costume than the person next to you, but in reality, you are exactly the same in your essence. You are God's energy.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know that took me a while to understand. Well, maybe not understand, but took me a while to accept.
Yeah. Well, you're
And
taught
now,
differently throughout your lifetime. So
yeah,
it's hard to break a belief. It truly is hard to break a belief. And that's why we're always saying just because you believe it doesn't mean it's true. It's just your interpretation of the information given. And a lot of times, the majority of what you believe came through by the age of 3, especially what you believe about yourself. Because that is the age you are broken of the full knowledge of the universe that you come into this earthly plane with. That is the
yes,
age parents start to try to temper your energy so that you're more in line with what other people will accept with ease. So this new generation that is coming through with this wisdom and this knowledge, we are very pleased to see so many parents allowing that knowledge to be shared.
a few points on that. Just know, because I have my little ones, that the schools will never, ever catch up to this knowledge that the children are coming in with, or that have come with. And it's very easy to slap on the word autism, right? Or neurodivergence or ADHD. The reality is that we don't know how to handle that because they're open to energies. And if you ask children creative-based questions, what comes out of their mouth will be mind-blowing.
Exactly.
Obviously, this is not the case for every child, but for the most part, those children that are coming out, it's the creative side of them because they're more in touch with the right side of their brain, where we're programmed by the left side. 3 years old, yes, and then by 7, they've developed into their human. By 7 years old,
by
they develop
7,
into
you
the
are
human.
fully who you believe yourself to be. You'll still
Yes.
fight it by your 4 and 5, but by the age of 7, the society has won the battle there for just because it's a place where a child learns they have to be safe, so they no longer fight the way they used to. You mentioned the children and the labels. That's what came through as you were talking about ADHD and autism. And here's the thing, as we have said continually since we have come through with ME, that children with autism are not broken. They just see the world from a perspective and with a energetic knowledge that their parents did not possess. That, not to say autism did not exist, it's existed for a long time. It just didn't have a label. And now that it has a label, it is not considered a good thing. Do you understand? And what isn't good, they're different. Do you understand that? Again, your difference is your greatest commonality. Accept difference and embrace it and understand they see the world different than me. Even the children that seem to be nonverbal, non-communicative, they are still communicating just from their knowledge base, from their language base, which is a much higher frequency than ours. So in this
Way
space,
higher.
in this energy, there are many, many who are devastated by diagnosis. But the diagnosis here's the thing to understand. Oh, that makes sense. That explains why I see things this way differently. It explains it, but it doesn't make it wrong. And in your society, labels make it wrong or right. If you're rich, you're right. But are you listening to some of the people with money and what they're saying? Do you understand? They're all about controlling instead of loving. where if you talk to a homeless person and there's someone next to them in need, what will they do? They'll give the last thing they have to help that person. Do you understand? So it's the labeling that hinders your forward progress. That is the message we want to make very, very clear. Measure, judgment, labels. Unless the label says you're amazing, we don't want to hear it.
That's what makes this time on this planet so exciting, because we are shifting towards that, because we have no choice but to adapt. We have no choice.
We have no choice.
Either that,
and you don't, as Emmy will say, we'll drag you kicking and screaming all the way if you don't want to come with ease. We'd much rather you come with ease.
Yes, I totally agree with that. The universe will find a way to bitch slap you into getting straight.
That is one way to put that. Yes, that is. We will definitely, we like to say we'll drop a pebble, we'll drop a rock, and then a boulder or a few if you're not willing to listen. But sometimes you're not willing to listen, and then we'll release, because you're not at a space where you can accept what you're here to do. You will all achieve your purpose, you see. You just will not all achieve your destiny. Your purpose is written in stone. It is your impact on the universal balance. Your destiny is your positive impact on humanity. And here's the interesting thing. Jeffrey Dahmer fulfilled his destiny.
Like they all did.
Because what he taught others to see, they hadn't seen previously. Do you understand that? So each of you, if you think of Hitler, Hitler had a positive impact in the oddest way. But when that war ended, your world came together in a way that was working together to uplift each other. But then you fell back into the habit of focusing on the difference as a bad thing, instead of a source of amazing opportunity.
And history repeats itself. But here we go again. It's all about
and that's
power.
exactly right where you are. You're in the exact same pattern that Hitler brought through. You know what was interesting? Now I'm jumping in. I had the realization the other day as I was watching some political commentary that just prior to Hitler stepping into his reign of power, there was a major uptick, especially here in the United States, in society connecting to their own space of enlightenment and connecting with gurus from the Far East and from India, and connecting more into Buddhism that hadn't previously been here. And it happened right before Hitler took the reign. And I'm going, we're right back in that same spot energetically, but even more tenfold. The impact is tenfold greater in the number of people currently experiencing and understanding they're here for more. They're here to help others.
I can get into a whole different thing with that.
I know. I just had that realization the other day, and this conversation is making me go, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so true. But go ahead.
No, this is where my nerdiness comes in, and I can go into. I'll do that on my own. I'll put the camera up and I'll just explain, why this is the same thing that we went through with Atlantis, the rise and fall of civilizations, why we're here again, and the uptick. It's the opening, the alignment, go into a golden age, and then you go back to all these different ages. So, yeah, that's where my nerdiness kicks in.
Yeah. We always say, and we say this loud and clear, there's a reason we're here now. There's a reason that we are coming through in the way that we are, because humanity repeats. and repeats and repeats and repeats. And unfortunately, how many times can you repeat that we do a reset that shifts you momentarily, and then suddenly you go back into the old habits? We are here to save humanity. But if humanity is not willing to step into that space of their own truth and accept each other on a different level, why are we hitting our heads, our proverbial head against the wall repeatedly? Do you understand that? As we always say to ME, we can always do humanity 2.0.
You know, and it's not to put in like a fear base, and you already touched base on it a little bit earlier.
It's not a fear base. It's literally, if you're not learning your, how should we say, it's just a reality. We're here to assist you to move through, but if you are still wanting to lean into the space that causes you pain, we don't want you to be in pain. Do you understand that? And when you say fear-based, guess what? You all die.
Well, no, what I was saying is I don't want to say anything that's fear-based, but we are at a point where if we don't get our shit together, the consequences this time around, because we are aware, because we have the technology to keep us informed, whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever, it could be catastrophic. And this is, and the reason why we're going to be seeing more contact with entities, you know, what we call aliens or what have you.
Yes.
That's all coming. It's
already here.
Pieces, but it's already here. But more to come is because they are trying to assist us in the best way possible without intervening.
In surviving.
Yes.
Because they have the majority that come through that are already here have lost the, how should we say, the honor of having their planetary existence. Do you understand what we mean? They are now, how shall we say, the earth was created specifically to be a sanctuary for each dimensional energy that has lost the honor of their planetary home. And the earth holds all that energy based on the, how should we say, the dimensionality. So the number of dimensions here are way beyond what all of you perceive. And in that knowing, in that knowledge, you will start to see the unfolding of what comes through, as you said, all here lovingly to help you. Because from the moment of this existence on this plane, you have allowed them to cohabitate in peace with you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So they are in love with the human race, so to speak. They do not judge you at all. They see the opportunity and the repeat in the mistakes their societies made that led to their extinction, in a manner of speaking.
Yes, that they are among us. That's absolutely true. We don't see them because we're 3D dense, but they can change into different dimensions and frequencies, so they can look like us.
Yes.
But they're among us, and that's exciting to me too.
I was going to say, and Nana loves that. She's just happy. Here we go. We're having a party.
Yes. I know. Geez, it's amazing. So that, again, it's just, I think we can wrap it up to say this is an exciting time.
Yes.
It's our opportunity to learn from our mistakes and not dwell on the mistakes. Just move forward and be the observer, question our actions, and question what feels good for us as an individual. What did we say?
Well, we will say in that regard, your main objective in this moment in time, how do I feel? That is the question you need to ask yourself repeatedly throughout the day. In this moment in time, how do I feel? Is my body tense? Do I feel joyful? Do I feel anything? Because sometimes you've detached so much from the energy that you're devoid of energy. And when you're devoid of energy, what is the universe responding to? Do you understand that? When you've shielded yourself so much, you're literally in a holding pattern instead of growing into the next phase of your amazing existence. So be aware, be in that awareness. When you have an experience that does not feel good to you, what about it didn't feel good? And then also, what about it was a blessing? As you say, God's rejection is God's protection.
Yep.
So
No, beautifully said.
Yes, and you may not know in the moment what the protection is from, but eventually it shows itself to you and you're like, thank God. Phew. Dodged a bullet on that one.
Yes, and it may take a while, and it's okay. Everyone's journey is different at different paces. It may take a while, and that's totally fine. You know,
and that is why those who are stepping fully into their energy with a lot of speed, because if you pay attention to the people you run into in psychic fairs and clients that are coming through, they feel like this urgency. They are on a faster trajectory because they are here to help pull others into their truth too. And the truth is, God loves you. And when you love yourself, you are in the I am energy.
So start practicing I am. I am love. I am truth. I am one.
Amazing. As Emmy would say, well, we would do what she does, but we won't. No, we will. I follow our lead.
I
am amazing.
Amazing.
Good. You do that well, girlfriend.
Well, I've only been to your showings and stuff like that 3
right?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been there for
Owning that energy, that lifted you right into that space. Do you understand that? Your whole energy field uplifted into that knowledge. That laughter, that smile, you started to glow. That is all we're trying to get you all to do. Step into that next level of energy. For some, that may simply be, instead of despair, I'm now angry. Do you understand that? But it just moved him up. Just moved him up. And that's all we're asking. Move yourself up. From where you are now, what can you do to move yourself up? Shake it off? Or
put on a good jam. That's what I do. I put on a good jam.
Exactly. And shake that booty. Do a little twerking. Yep. You do that good. And me not so much. And me's like, oh no, I ain't twerking.
Wanda and I will do it.
Yeah, you and Wanda can twerk, and I'll just go, oh God, here they go. Here they go. No, I do chair dancing. I can do that well. So you guys twerk, I'll chair dance. We're all there. Girlfriend, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate our conversation. As always, I cannot wait to see you. I'm going to have your details in the details. Like and subscribe. You can get a hold of MaryElizabeth and talk to me personally. There's different methods. I'll get the phone number, the website, and also the location of the New Mountain Center. Are you there every month, or is it just by like once in a while? How does that work?
It's been running like every 4 months. They have a panel. But I'm also open to speak at live events and be guest on a podcast because that's why I'm here. I'm here to speak. I do work with clients one-on-one, but I'm here to impact a larger audience too, to allow that voice of we to come through. And given the atmosphere, it's more than needed here. So Anybody who needs a speaker, just reach out. I'd love to assist and speak to your group.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, MaryElizabeth. We will be in talk soon, and I can't wait to see you.
I know. Can't wait to give you a hug, my friend. Have a blessed day, honey.
You too. Bye.
Bye.